We are continuing spooky season. This week I have got a Netflix film called Gerald's Game, which is based on a Stephen King novel. Let's jump into it. Hi, my name's Drew and welcome to another review video on Flying Wiener. Now, I had this film on my watch list, on my Netflix list, which is ever increasing and is ridiculously long already. But I had this film on the list probably since it came out in 2017. And the funny thing is, at the time, I didn't even know that it was made by Mike Flanagan, who I have really become a big fan of in the meantime. So he has done not only Midnight Mass, which I have covered before on the channel. I'll leave a link to that at the very end of this video. But I've also seen a few things of his that I really liked. I liked Dr. Sleep, you know, the follow-up to The Shining that was released a few years ago. I really liked that when I saw it in the cinema. And I liked other things that he's done, like The Haunting of Hill House and The Haunting of Bly Manor, for instance. But yeah, really great guy. I really love his characters and the dialogue. And so when I saw this pop up on social media, I was like, you know, I need to watch this film because I've had it on my list, you know, and obviously I've missed out on something here. Now, it's not apparently obvious at the start that it is actually a horror film. I can assure you it most definitely is. I was, for the first 20 or 30 minutes, I was thinking, well, okay, it's all right, but let's see where it goes. But I must say, it really took me by surprise, and it is absolutely terrifying the more you think about being in the position of the characters in this film. As I mentioned briefly, it's based on a Stephen King novel that came out in 1992. Stephen King himself actually gave a thumbs up for this film, so he really liked it. While they changed seemingly a lot from the book to make it filmable, because even the director, Mike Flanagan himself, called it unfilmable. They changed some specific elements to actually make it work as a film. Stephen King liked it himself, so, you know, if you're one of these purists, you know, it's not like the book. The author himself thinks it's a great film, you know, and great adaptation. So I think, you know, I mean, of course you're entitled to your own opinion, but we can say, you know, it definitely achieved success by even getting approval from the actual author. So, what is the film about? And this is very, very difficult because I absolutely do not want to spoil anything for you. Now, that is generally how I do my review videos, but in this case, it's actually really difficult to talk about the film without spoiling it. I'm still going to try and do that because if you watch this film, I want you to go in fully unprepared, because the more you're in the concept of what's happening and the more you see unfold and think about it, you know, the more terrified you get yourself. At least that was the case for me. So we are focused on a couple. They're sort of middle-aged, you know, they're not retired yet, so they're somewhere, I'd say around, let's say around 40, 50-ish, something like that. It's quite obvious that their marriage isn't going too well, you know, they're in a kind of slump. And so they do this kind of cliche thing of, let's go away for a weekend, you know, just the two of us, a place out in the woods, a house, you know, and we'll try and rekindle this flame. That is the basic gist of it. And pretty much from the start, we end up in the bedroom, because of course that is where you would want to reignite passion the most, I suppose. And the two people, they are played by Carla Gugino. I hope that's the way you pronounce it. I forgot to look it up. I just hope that's correct. And Bruce Greenwood. I like both of them quite a lot. Both actors, I think, are really great choices here as well. Carla Gugino particularly, she gets so much to do in this film. You know, that really made me, you know, it made my jaw drop, really. It was really good. So the two of them are there in the bedroom, and you know, they're trying out this sort of fantasy with cuffs, you know, handcuffs, and Carla Gugino, she is cuffed to the bed, and you know, the husband tries to do a thing or two. It doesn't quite work out the way he intends to. They start fighting, and you know, I'll just call it. Again, this is pretty much all I can tell you about the film as far as the plot is concerned. Let's just say it escalates from there. Okay, that's just how I'll word this. Now, obviously, you'll be thinking all sorts of possible scenarios about this. You could think, you know, what's going to happen? Is the husband going to do something? Is somebody else going to suddenly come in? You know, you're immediately thinking, you know, is this like a bit like Evil Dead or A Cabin in the Woods or whatever? You could think of all sorts of scenarios about this, and I'd love to tell you more, but I am, you know, intentionally not doing it because I would just spoil the concept of the film, and it is just so much more fun to explore it yourself. just know that things escalate. And like I say, I myself at first was a bit doubtful, you know, is this really horror? Because I mean, even with Mike Flanagan's other works, the Haunting of Bly Manor, while it has got the description of horror, to me it didn't really have that many horror elements. I liked it for the characters, but it wasn't really a horror thing. So I thought, is this maybe the same? No, this has definitely got a lot of horror things in it. And it's not just the story itself, it's just, you know, like I say, the more you think about being in situations, but it's also the way it's filmed. We've got so many great scenes and moments in here. You've got so many, I love, one of the most terrifying things for me is, and I get this a lot also from Junji Ito. If you don't know him, he's a Japanese manga artist who really has some of the craziest horror concepts I have ever seen on paper. Really, you know, gruesome stuff, body horror stuff. I really don't like body horror stuff. I'll still look at it, you know, because you like to squirm and stuff. It's fun. But here as well, you get a lot of, and what Junji Ito does, the point I'm making is he will end the page with, you know, a close-up of you seeing the character's eyes, you know, in shock or whatever it is, disgust, etc. And, you know, then you have the famous page turn, you know, what is it that this character's seeing? You turn the page and then you get to witness it yourself. This film is a lot like that, so we'll have the camera, you know, really close up to the characters, and they are seeing something, and you're like, oh God, do I even want to see what they're seeing? You know? And it works. But not only are the things, you know, quite, you know, breathtaking in the bad sense, but you know, it just really makes your skin tingle and crawl and everything. So very well executed. So I felt so uncomfortable watching this film, constantly thinking about myself being in this situation and the horror of it all. So it really works on so many levels. Mike Flanagan, to me, is an excellent filmmaker. And we actually just have these two characters and that's it. You know, you'd think that might be boring, you know, a full film, just two characters. Believe me, it isn't. The two of them, they work so well together. You know, it's unbelievable, the whole dialogue. Obviously, they have fights as well because, you know, the basis of it is a relationship that's not going well. And the whole thing through and through is just completely believable, the chemistry between the two. While they're playing a failed marriage, you know, two people in a failed marriage, the chemistry between the two still works very well, I feel. So it's a very small, contained film. I don't think there's really much I can say more about this, apart from it is definitely very, very fittingly in the horror genre. To just briefly address it, it does have, and I saw this on the internet, I kind of agree with it, it does have one of the most gruesome scenes I have ever seen on film. It really does, which is interesting because there's actually not much happening in it. So, you know, it's not like we're seeing huge monsters or someone just being completely torn apart from head to toe or something like that. You know, at least when it comes to the amount of stuff that happens, it's rather small. It's just the type of thing that happens that is really, you know, I'm not easily squeamish with these kind of things, but even in this situation, I was like, oh God, you know, I can't imagine being in that situation doing it. It's nothing disgusting as it were, it's just very gory. By disgusting, I mean, it's not something, you know, with feces or something like that. I mean, you get all sorts, of course. So this isn't a train spotting, climb into the toilet situation, definitely not. It's more of a bloody, gory thing. Like I say, it's rather small, so it's, you know, it's not huge, but it really made my skin crawl. So we've got a really, really good horror moment in this when it comes to not just scary, but really, you know, but ooh, makes you feel uncomfortable. That's all I'll say. So if you have a Netflix subscription, I would definitely recommend that you check this out. If you know the book, then definitely do that. I suppose it's very interesting to see a kind of different take on the same story. If you have read the book, you know, also let me know down in the comments. What did you think? Are you happy? Do you prefer it as it was in the book, or do you like both versions? You know, would you rather have watched the book version as a film, even though they kind of deem it unfilmable? You know, just let me know any of that in the comments down below. But this really is a big recommendation for me, especially if you want to be surprised by something, because this film, it starts out rather simple and you're like, okay, so what's the concept here going to be, you know, what's going to go on, etc. And like I say, it gradually just gets really, really horrible the more you realize, you know, consequences of what we're seeing well, just in the film, you know, what's going to happen next. You start thinking about what can the characters do, you know, what other options and all these kind of things. it really gets worse as it goes on. But a really great experience. You know, Mike Flanagan, really great guy. He's got a new thing coming out, I think very, very shortly from now. Is it the Midnight Club? Something like that it's called. It's on Netflix. He seems to just be having a great time on Netflix because he's doing a lot through them. I'm definitely going to watch it because, like I said, Midnight Mass was one of the best things I've ever seen when it comes to TV in terms of characters, you know, and dialogue and stuff. So yes, full recommendation from me. Definitely fits the spooky season. I really like it. I was very surprised by it. We'll see what I'll talk about next week. As always, not decided. It will be a rather spontaneous affair, I believe. So, if you liked this video, please like, share and subscribe. It is the best way to support this channel. As I said before, leave a comment down below, just, you know, about anything you want to say about this film or its book that it was based on. You know, anything of that down below. Anything you want to say about Mike Flanagan's work, please definitely down below. I'm a big fan of his, I must say. Yeah, if there's anything else you want to say about spooky season, Halloween coming, etc., you know, recommendations, all that down in the comments below. I will, in closing, apologise for the lighting a bit. I'm filming this rather early in the morning because I've got a very busy schedule this weekend, and the sun is always appearing and disappearing, so the colours might be a bit wonky in this video. I do apologise for that if that is something that irritated you. If you didn't notice, perfect. We won't talk about it any further. So, I'll thank you again for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one on Flying Wiener. Take care. Bye.